Welcome to Gardening North of 60, gardening in the Yukon, the place that turns gardening into an extreme sport. In today's episode, we'll be harvesting our garlic sets, our herbs, I'll be cutting them to dry, and we'll be harvesting a few ears of corn. Stay tuned. So these are our pots with our garlic sets. And what we had done is broken apart a bulb of garlic into its individual cloves, and we had set each clove into the soil, and this is what happened. We got some greenery coming up, and now that it has turned brown and fallen over, it's now time to harvest them. So let's see what we've got. And I think the easiest way is just going to be to tip these over. And you can see it's gotten quite the roots on it. We've never grown garlic in the north before, and so I'm curious to see just what we've got. And you'll see each individual clove that we planted has now doubled. So we'll now let this air dry to preserve it, and we'll have fresh garlic to use. We love garlic. And so we've got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 little bulbs of garlic from our 6 cloves. So they've nearly doubled what we planted, and these are going to taste so good. And in the other pot, we've got about the same, about 6 or 7 bulbs from the 6 cloves that we planted, so doubled in size. So we've got about a dozen little fresh garlics. And who knew that you could grow garlic north of 60? Now, let's pick some corn. I was very impressed with how tall these got this year. They're over 8 feet. I have already looked at this one and it is ready. So let's pick them. How you do that is you just, as easy as that. And we have 3 ears of corn, and guess what dinner's gonna be? So for those of you who have caught our earlier episodes in the Extreme Gardening playlist, you'll know that I was quite pleased with how our herb garden had done, given that it had been such a cool summer. So now what I'm going to be doing is trimming our parsley, our sage, our thyme, and the last of our rosemary. I will be tying it together into little bundles, and we will be drying it the old-fashioned way. And I'll show you how that looks in just a moment. And so here is my little herb garden. You can see the parsley, the thyme, the sage, and a few sprigs of rosemary. And I will be tying these up with some kitchen string and hanging them on a rack to let them air dry the old-fashioned way. So what am I doing? I am taking about 30 centimeters, maybe a little bit more, about a foot of kitchen string. And I'm going to snip it up. Then I'll take a bunch of the herbs. And we'll just have to make sure they're properly trimmed and that you remove any leaves that are fading. And then you take the string and tie the stems together. You can use, it's not important what kind of a knot you use, as long as they're bunched together. Then you take the string and tie the bunch to a drying rack, or you can tape it against a wall. The key thing here is for the bunch of herbs to dry outside of direct light, because that will help with preserving the flavor. And in a few weeks, you will have fresh, dried herbs the old-fashioned way. Now, I just happened to have this pasta drying rack, which I'm going to be using to hang my herbs from. But you don't have to do the same. As long as there's airflow around the herbs, you will get lovely dried herbs. Let's try this with some of the parsley. Now, some say parsley doesn't dry well this way and needs to be dried in a dehydrator. The research that I have done indicates that this method is actually fine for parsley. So we will just do the same thing. And we won't crowd them because parsley is quite a moist plant. We just want that airflow to happen. So let's just not crowd them. And voila. And so let's continue with the thyme. And let's just take off that end bit there. And we will wrap this around our bunch. And now for our rosemary. Now the rosemary I don't have a lot of because it's quite moist. We want the air to flow around them. We won't bunch these together too much. So I'll just snip some bad bits. And there's our bunch of rosemary. So thank you for joining me for this week's episode, Harvesting. If you haven't already, please check out our other videos in our Extreme Gardening playlist. And if you liked this video, why not like, share, and subscribe? And if you're already a subscriber, thank you for your support. Until next time, thanks for watching.